listening to The Sizzle on Iron Skillet Radio and Iron Skillet Television.
You know who it is. You know what it is. It's The Sizzle in the building. Guess who's in the building? Rich Sizzle's in the building. Jay Sizzle's in the building. And I'm G Sizzle. We are in the building. We're here to talk about the hottest things going on in sports right now. So let's just open the floor up, gentlemen. What is it that we're talking about today? What discussion piece do we want to give the listeners so that they know we're talking hot business? Hot business. Real, I mean, not warm business and not cold business, but it's hot business.
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 Talking sports.
Oh, okay. Well, we're talking sports. Let's talk about basketball. So let's do that. Let's start off with basketball because that's where we are. Basketball season is still upon us. We're in the back end of everything with basketball. We're in the back end of trades. We're in the back end of the All-Star game. And the one thing I think we've all learned and we can all agree upon is that Zach LaVine may be your third or fourth best player on your team. He can't carry a team. It's not going to happen. It should not happen. And man, props to my man, Debo, for out there making history, shooting 50+% from the floor, and the rest of your team. Yeah. Well,
hey, man, did you just say Zach LaVine is the fourth best player on the Bulls?
Possibly. He could be your fourth best player. Let me clarify. He could be your fourth best player on a really good team. Not just a good team, a really good team. He's on a good team where he's your second best player. But on a really good team, he's your third or fourth.
Pump your brakes.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on a minute.
Okay.
Put this in neutral.
Okay.
All right. Are the Bulls a really good team?
Yes.
Yes. They're a good team. They're not a really good team.
When the Bulls play against the top elite teams in the league, they're not so good. If they have to play against a top team in the West, they're 1-5. Luckily, as I believe Zach LaVine put it, they don't have to play those teams in the West until they possibly get to the NBA Finals, because it's very possible they would get swept out. Is this team? Well, let's look what happened last night. All right. Let's look what happened last night against the Grizzlies team. You had Ja Morant drop a season high 46 on their head. Boom, boom. And you found the Bulls again digging out of a super double-digit hole like they like to do. Against good teams, they're not going to be able to do that. So I'm suggesting maybe as a great NFL coach said, are they really who they think they are? Should we clone them? I don't think so.
Man, first of all, and I do mean first of all, both of y'all drinking the Kool-Aid. Okay, this Bulls team come out of nowhere. Nobody expected the Bulls to do better than sixth place coming in, and they are constantly fighting for first. And it always teeters. It's like, could be Miami this week and the Bulls. It could be Cleveland, surprisingly, this week and the Bulls. It could be Philly this week and the Bulls. The Bulls have stayed in that conversation all through the season from game one. You're not going to sit here and try to say they thought they were, blah, blah, blah. Ain't nobody stopping Steph Curry when he's hot. Let's just be honest about it. Okay, forget all that, whatever. Nice. Okay, we are talking about regular season ball, and that team is not even healthy. They have not played a game where everybody healthy was on the floor yet, and they still managed to win games. So you're going to sit here and try to talk garbage about this player dropped this in a one-game situation. Y'all drinking Kool-Aid.
Well, the Bulls have been down double digits. Look how many times the Bulls have been down double digits. How many times the Bulls have been down in deep double digits and had to claw their way back out of deep holes? Against good teams, that's not going to work out that way.
Does it matter at the end of the day? The matter is.
I think it does.
Did they win?
I think I think it does. I mean, you look.
They won a lot more than they've lost.
Interesting point. They won a lot more than they've lost, but they've been down double digits. So let's go back to the game.
Who other than the Suns and the Warriors hasn't? And whatever they're doing on the West, that's a whole. We're not even talking about them. Like I said, okay, Phoenix, yeah, they're about to hit 50 wins. Great. Warriors, self-explanatory. Memphis, believe it or not, who's right behind the Warriors, another self-explanatory. Yep. But after that, everybody's pretty much in the same conversation right around that high 30s mark where they're playing pretty good basketball and pretty good competitive basketball. You eliminate those three teams out of the West, and then everybody else is pretty much right there with each other talking about it, unless you're going down to the Pelicans and stuff like that. But everybody in playoff contention is good 5-10 games away from each other, especially in the East.
Well, I'll give you this. Milwaukee isn't playing great ball. Miami isn't playing great ball. I'm not really sure when it comes to the East. I'm not going to say that Charlotte is great. I'm not going to tell you that who else in the East? Give me somebody else in the East. Give me some. I know the Knicks are. They suck.
The current standings now, in number one is Miami, then the Bulls, and that's a 1 game difference.
Okay.
Then you've got Philly, Cleveland. Cleveland, that's the funny one. Milwaukee and Boston, and then their little play-in, whatever, 7 through 10, Toronto, Brooklyn, Charlotte, and Atlanta. Atlanta's at 10.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of Charlotte. Not a fan of Atlanta. Not saying they can't get hot. I'm not saying that they're not good teams. I'm just saying not a fan of overtaking the Bulls at this point.
We say the Nets are toast. That you're done?
No, we haven't said the Nets are toast. But we're going to talk about the Nets in a little bit. That'll be in the next segment. We're going to talk about the Nets so we get a clear understanding of where the next – because I think we've got to put it in perspective, Nets and the Sixers. Somehow this is still going to roll around. You're talking about Nets, Sixers, and somehow the Bulls and the Bucks are like outside of looking into this nebulous of silliness. They're somewhere there.
But you only look with the Bulls, you're only looking at a 4-game spread from the second place team to the 6th place team. So that's almost a pick 'em right there. Between the Bucks, the Celtics, the Cavaliers, and the 76ers, that's a pick 'em. Basically, that's who gets hot. That's one of those type of situations right now. I mean, the Bulls could easily be in 6th place as they are in 2nd place. You know what I'm saying? Are they a strong team in the East? We'll say, yeah, they're the number 2 seed in the East, but do you really look at the Bulls right now and go, hey, you know what? I'm gonna put some of this bankroll on the Bulls to win the East.
I would.
You know what I'm saying?
I think you should. Like I said before, this team has found ways to win despite being pretty much on IR the whole season. Let's not forget, we had a whole time where they could barely put 8 people on the floor due to COVID. People have been out 8 weeks. How many players on that team have been out 2 to 4 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks? Patrick Williams, the whole season.
Oh, well, let's not bring him up.
Supposedly coming back. The whole team has been hurt, and yet they still, with whatever pieces they have left, if Zach's out or if DeRozan's out, one of them's in, or whatever else like that, they still find a way to win. They'll drop a few here and there. Of course, it's an 82-game season. You're going to drop a game here and there, but they still find ways to win games. This is what playoff basketball is all about. Regardless of the adversity, you find a way to win that game and move on to the next one. That's what they've been doing all season. I think you should definitely put the Bulls in serious contention to take a number 1 spot going into the playoffs.
So when we look at the Bulls right now, though, their biggest glaring thing they have going is their lack of a big man. Now, they brought in Tristan Thompson, but is he going to be the key for the Bulls to fulfill that big man role that they need for any length of a period of time? Can he be consistent? Because what we saw right now against the Grizzlies, even though Steven Adams, 2 full-grown men, the Bulls were getting butcherized on the board. And the Bulls are a small team up front. even if they all come back, besides Vucevic, they're all small. Green is small. He's smaller than Patrick Williams. And Patrick Williams is no rebounding machine. He ain't one. Even if he comes back, he's are they even going to roll? Will Billy Donovan even play Patrick Williams coming toward if he gets back? I don't think so. I think he's going to go with a more veteran type group anyway. So you're looking at the Bulls being small across the front line, except for Vucevic, and Vucevic is not a banger. I think they're going to get exposed inside. They're going to get beat on the rebounds. Now, who's
going to beat him in the East though? Who's going to beat him on the East on the inside?
You think the Bucks are going to be dangerous in the playoffs?
Who?
The Bucks. You don't think the Bucks are going to be dangerous in the playoffs?
Are they dangerous in size though?
They're going to outsize the Bulls.
I mean, how much though? I mean, like I said, we're not talking about. Like I said, you take out Philadelphia. I mean, I got it. They're big. Okay, great.
Yeah,
but they might not even face them, depending on how the seeding goes. All right.
Okay. Yeah.
Then you got Cleveland. I'll give Cleveland their credit when they're due, their size. But guess what? Thompson just came from Cleveland. I think he knows how to play against them. There's nobody else in the East that you really got to concern yourself with saying, well, we got to match up size by size or whatever else like that, or shoot lights out. Who else on the East can you say is doing that?
Well, that's a good point. And in fact, when you put the Bulls against Cleveland to me is a scary team because you got some things going on. You got bigs. You got a possibility of throwing Laurie at the 3 and still having 2 real bigs who are playing your 4 and your 5. Could be scary. I mean, if they get a little rotation, Bulls have beaten them this season and held their own, but that size has been something that has caused them problems.
I mean,
during the game.
You look at teams like the Celtics, right? Who the Bulls are similar to, right?
What?
If you put the Bulls are similar to them. You don't like Jason Tatum? We don't like him.
That's
we don't like Jaylen Brown. We don't like Jaylen Brown. So they're just trash now. They were good last year.
You're going to compare Jaylen Brown to either Zach or DeRozan, really?
Okay, so let's take a look now. You got a Zach LaVine's coming back off a knee injury, right? We don't know what type of Zach LaVine we're going to get back. We got Alonzo Ball supposed to be coming. We got Alonzo Ball coming back off a knee injury. We don't know what type of Alonzo Ball we're going to get back. We're hoping a lot of these people are going to be back at 100%. So we got to look at what we got going on right now.
But as long as you have players that are willing to pick up the slack while those other players are forming themselves to be back 100%, which is what I've been saying, they'll be fine. Nobody expects them to come right back from game 1 dropping 50 points. That's not real.
Here's the issue though. Bill Donovan likes to run 8, 9 deep, 7.5 deep, 8 deep. So you look at players like Ayo, maybe people like, are they going to even get run during the playoff time? Once you get Zoe back, once you get a couple other players back, are those guys going to? So these guys who've been putting in work, is Billy Donovan going to go with the veterans, and those guys are going to be riding the oak? Now you got guys coming back who's been off 6 weeks who's been off 6 weeks. You're talking about Russ. You're talking about a lot of stuff. I don't know. I don't know if the Bulls are just going to be as dominant as they look right now when it gets to playoff time.
But ask yourself why Billy Donovan favors only 8 players. Did he trust, like you said, Io and White? Did he trust those players before this when he had no other option? Now he knows what they can do. Now he has a rotation. If somebody's in trouble, he can trust on those guys. He can lean on them and say, okay, well, all right, this guy's slumping. Step up in there, give us a spark. Did he have that before? He didn't know. This whole Bulls thing is completely new to everybody. We are not used to saying anything positive about the Bulls. We haven't said anything positive about the Bulls since before Derrick Rose, before the first ACL injury. And that was well over a decade ago.
I'm glad you just mentioned Derrick Rose because I saw a stat on ESPN on their stat line, and there was a comparison with Derrick Rose, and that comparison was Ja Morant. In fact, their numbers, Ja Morant's numbers are better in every category except if I'm correct, it was rebounding that Derrick had the slight edge. It was a minuscule edge. But the fact that Ja Morant has played less games at this point in the season than Derrick did in his MVP season. That's where the comparison is. Ja Morant and MVP. And you look at Derrick's numbers and you look at Ja's numbers. So are we saying, or can we assume just by the numbers that Ja Morant is equal to, relative to Derrick Rose?
Time will tell. I mean, compared to now, sure. Let's also not forget Derrick Rose's upbringing, first few years. Basketball was played a little bit different. There was a little more defense played. We don't play defense no more. So
wait, you're acting like Derrick played defense.
I'm not talking about Derrick. I'm talking about the rest of the league.
Oh, you just talking about
they throw more double teams than they ever did, though. You used to be a time guys were playing one-on-one back in the day. They throw a lot more double teams than players right now. They were talking about today, Luka Doncic is probably the most double team player in the NBA. You didn't see double teams where they just took guys out of games or tried to take guys out of games like they do now back in the day. Even when Derrick played, guys were running double teams at people all night long.
So do you think this Ja Morant is as good as Derrick Rose? Is he going to take this Grizzlies team that just slapped up the Bulls? Well, okay, it really wasn't a slap. I mean, they had their moments, but the Bulls did claw back. Give them like 5 more minutes, they probably would have won the game.
So I'm going to say this. I'm going to answer this question for you, and I never thought I would say this.
Okay.
Ja Morant is more explosive than Derrick Rose.
Excuse me?
Ja Morant is more explosive than I never thought. I thought Derrick Rose was probably the most explosive player I've ever seen until I saw Ja Morant. Ja Morant is ridiculously explosive. Derrick Rose was super strong around the bucket. I think it was Derrick's strength and his explosiveness which made him so elite because he could power through guys. But as for jumping around over and through, just dunking on people for no particular reason, just because you can, trying to put a poster up every time he gets the ball, that's Ja Morant. Did you see the 360 in a game? Did you see the 360? Did you see the 360? Did Derrick Rose dunk on people like Ja Morant does?
Yes.
Ja Morant. I'm talking about like Ja Morant. Ja Morant puts it on somebody every night. He's ridiculous for how close he is.
Back then.
Can out jump Derrick Rose? Did you see that two-handed block to the top of the square? Did you see the two-handed block to the top of the square?
That's nice.
That was one of the highest, most athletic jumps I've seen in the NBA. He went up and blocked that with 2 hands and then took the ball down the court.
Ja
does that on a regular basis. Ja does that on a regular basis.
Back then.
I think Derrick Rose was stronger. I'm just saying, I'm telling you, I never thought I would say this. But I'm saying to you, I think Ja Morant is not. Is he stronger than Derrick Rose? Absolutely not. Can he bully you like Derrick Rose to the basket? Absolutely not. Are you talking about explosive off the floor? I mean, just for no reason? Off the floor, like putting it into you? Derrick Rose can put it on. I'm not saying Derrick Rose wasn't great. I'm just saying to you, Ja Morant is ridiculous. And the more I watch Ja Morant, that 46 points he just dropped, and I think he's one of those guys where he's almost getting to the point, if he ever develops a decent, average jump shot from the outside, where he could actually, I think he's almost become one of those people who might be unguardable.
Okay. All right. Jay, we need you to take your cup, take your mug, look at it, and see if is that the night mug or is that your daytime mug? What have you put in this mug? In fact, what are you sipping on over there? What is it that you're doing something hot at night over there? What are you doing uncut over there?
Let me ask you a question then, right? Mm-hmm. If you didn't think there was a comparison, then why ask the question?
Because ESPN asked the question.
You asked the question. It's secretly in your mind, but you don't want people burning crosses in your front lawn.
You ain't having D Rose's people coming looking for me.
Hold up.
You're not gonna do that.
You don't want them from Inglewood coming to get you.
Let me jump in this. Okay. It's a fair, I love the comparison. But what you just said, Jay, was that Ja Morant blows Derrick Rose out of the water.
I did not say he blows Derrick Rose. I said he's more explosive. I didn't know. I said I did not. Do not put words in mano mouthful.
You said Derrick Rose was in a boat and Ja Morant was a destroyer cruiser that came by and levied at least 4 atomic nuclear bombs at him, and that Derrick Rose floated to the bottom of the Baltic Sea.
Okay, so can I ask you guys a question then?
Yes.
So is Derrick Rose, in your opinion, far more explosive than Ja Morant?
Not
close.
The comparison. And I'll tell you what, the Derrick Rose of before the whole knee thing, there was nobody. I haven't seen somebody cross somebody over and get to the rim faster than Derrick Rose. He had a quick step on somebody, and it was like this dude just broke somebody's ankle, and he's halfway to the court already.
Absolutely.
I'm not saying that Ja Morant doesn't do that, because he does. I think it's a fair comparison, but I am not going to sit here and say that Ja Morant is head, feet over, whatever, above where Derrick Rose was in his 3rd year in the league. That's not what I'm going to say. I like the comparison, but I'm not going to say either one of them were better than the other one. I think it's spot on, right exactly where they're at, albeit considering a few things. He has a better supporting cast on the small ball side. I mean, he's got some guards he can actually pass to. I mean, Derrick Rose had Carlos Boozer to pass to.
Wait.
And won!
Stop.
I'm just saying. So that has a lot. There was the Jimmy Butler experience, but he was not developed yet.
You had Ben Gordon, you had Captain Kirk, and you had Luau. You had the try-hard team of all.
What you want to do? That's a good cast right there. That's a good cast right there.
I'll tell you what. You take that Bulls team in Derrick's 3rd year and put it against this Memphis team.
Absolutely.
And it would be a mollywhopping. You get Joe Kim. We talked about Adams, and yeah, that's cool, but it would be a mollywhopping.
That Bulls team was far better than this Grizzlies team is right now. That's a far better cast than what Derrick Rose was playing with than what Ja Morant's playing with. Far better.
Yeah, and they probably would play you one-on-one. But I will, to your point, Jay, I will say this. There is one thing. Ja Morant has better braids than Derrick Rose.
Derrick Rose got his braids late in his life. He was like the old man who finally buys a red Corvette, a used red Corvette, because he wants to get the honeys.
Yeah, it's just like he just got out the joint and was like, "Hey man, what's hot right now?" They're like, "Hey man, you need to get them braids, bro. You need to get them twists." And he's like, "That's what hot. That's what hot. Okay, that's what."
He missed the trap music. He's too old for trap music.
Hey man, and how many more times is Derrick gonna have surgeries on his body? Like, I'm waiting for him because he's on my fantasy team. I'm waiting to come back, and he has another ankle surgery.
The thing that's scary about Derrick Rose that he's still relevant to this day after all this surgery. That's how great an athlete that Derrick Rose is. You know how just far and above physically he is for other players in the league. But we will say to Richard, I know you're going to agree with me on this. Derrick Rose did this to himself. He was so herky-jerky with all that power that those limits aren't going to hold up to that. And I'm going to say the same thing to Ja Morant. Ja Morant almost tore his hip socket out the other day making a move. Did you see that one? And so those guys who are super explosive, herky-jerky like that, I just don't think the body's going to hold up. I just don't think so. That's why you see a Luka Doncic rolling around slow, still getting buckets, and he'll be 45, still getting buckets in the league when Ja Morant and them all be on the sidelines at some point in time. But we will enjoy them.
40. No, he's not going to be. He's going to eat himself.
Dirk Nowitzki.
He's not. At least Dirk Nowitzki was in shape.
He's not Dirk Nowitzki.
Luka's only shape is round. Stop.
He's not Dirk Nowitzki. I mean,
seriously, round boy though.
Yeah, he is a bad round boy, but by 40.
Who would you take? he's top 5 in your league right now to start your team off right now.
We're talking about it
right
40.
now.
We're talking about it at 40. He's going to look like Sean Kemp when he went to Cleveland.
Sean Kemp was still at that old age, could still ball. Now he couldn't jump no more, but he could still ball.
He was also 6'10". He didn't have to jump.
Right. He just stood there. He was like, hey.
I don't agree with you, Jay. I don't know what the issue is with these new athletes. This torquing and movement. This is not new. I don't know if it's the way that new athletes they intake protein or things like that. You know, if you're talking about your generation and even my generation, we ate our protein. It wasn't like we took it necessarily through amino acids like that, like they do now. Yeah, there wasn't that much of an emphasis with just pertaining to certain parts of the body, just making sure I can jump higher and do this and that. It was kind of like an entire whole body kind of building up. I don't know. I'm not pretty sure. I'm not in the gym like that with the younger generation. So I don't know what that has to do with it. But I mean, you join, you're in the league, you're playing, you have these expectations. The one thing I can say is you don't worry too much about the high profile injuries because there's a good understanding you're going to be back next year. That wasn't the same case
that's true.
When you're talking 10, 15 years ago. You took an ACL injury or Achilles injury, you're done.
Well, yeah, but those were career-ending injuries. Now you see guys come. Well, you saw in the Super Bowl, guy come back off an Achilles injury in the same year.
Yep.
And came back. Was it Akers? I think the running back came back. Remember Achilles? Kobe. I mean, even Kobe was done. But when his Achilles got, wow, look at Kevin Durant. You know what I'm saying? Kevin Durant came back, and you look right now, Kevin Durant looks no different than what he looked like previous to that injury. Right. You know what I'm saying? Because of technology. They put that thing back together, and Kevin Durant looks great. Had it been 10 years ago that injury happened, Kevin Durant would be retired. You know, that's just the way it is. So, yeah, I think to your what you're saying, Rich, I think this new style athlete is so sports specific that these guys at an early age, they just get far better training, even in guys of your generation. You know, my generation, guys, they train, they started working out, 4 weeks before the season started. I mean, yeah. they jog during the summer. Yeah, but for the most part, you just try to get ready for a training camp.
Same here. Summer was yours. Go do what you want to do.
Right, but now these guys, I mean, two weeks after the season over, they're doing the Tom Brady, and they're out going full-blown workouts, getting ready for next year because they have to. I mean, because this new breed of athlete is bigger, faster, stronger. I mean, they got the Olympic creed going up. These guys are ridiculous. How many guys you see 7 feet tall who can handle the basketball? We never saw that growing up, at a guy who can handle the basketball. If you was past 6'8", your coach would not even let you go out near the shoot a ball from the elbow, let alone go out to the 3-point line and let one fly. That wouldn't happen.
No. To that, I mean, it didn't matter if you were 6'2", you weren't letting it fly in that day either. You better hit that shot, otherwise.
Oh, absolutely. So, and I think too, and I think too, to that thing too, Rich, I think the advent of the 3-point line has opened up this new breed of athlete because now the floor isn't as compressed as it used to be. It used to be a time guys were packing it in, and you had to attack the basket, and you were going up against 4 bodies. Now you're going up against 3 bodies on the inside because you always got somebody sitting on the opposite side of the floor, sitting in that corner, a 3-point shooter that somebody has to go out and guard. So you're not going up in amongst those trees. And then now if you breathe on somebody wrong, they're calling a foul. Yeah. And before we know Jordan rules but back in the time, in our day, it was like football the same way. They protect guys, which I understand. These guys now are making tens of millions of dollars a season. Where beforehand, guys were lucky if they made $10 million for their whole entire career, and they have too much money invested in these guys, and so they're not going to let you hurt them. And I think that's the difference with these athletes right now.
So next time we sit down and we break down what's going on, we're going to talk about Philly and we're going to talk about the Nets. We're going to talk about really how this works and how it plays in the East. But not only are we going to talk about that, Jay brought up something. We talk about the new athlete. We talk about the one who's moving forward. Well, let's talk about who's the new athlete that's going to replace Tom Brady. You know, the great Wonder Man. Who is that guy that they're going to construct and put together, and then he's going to be Brady-ish? Or is like the new Tom Brady already in New England? Good questions. You know, stuff we're going to talk about here on The Sizzle. You know who's in the building. He's Jay Sizzle. He's Rich Sizzle. I'm G Sizzle, and we will see you, my friend, on the other side.
Make sure that you follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Iron Skillet Sports. And remember to like, share, and subscribe to Iron Skillet Sports on YouTube at Iron Skillet Sports.